To keep the ball for Spain is to...
It's actually mirrored what happened in 2010. Remember, that wasn't a great game as well, and it was quite ugly at times in Johannesburg. But Argentina played a bit of football in the last few minutes, but they've come up short. But
Plastic corner, we are live tonight, subscribe our channel. Subscribe the channel, it's been wonderful.
You've got to give them a lot of credit. Listen, when you think that throughout the competition, what they've only conceded one goal, that's where they've won it. You know, they're not only talking about how good they are in possession of the ball, but they've defended well. A great goalkeeper. So right through the team, from the start of the competition, even though they drew with Cape Verde 0-0, they showed the quality defensively throughout the campaign. And then up front, Ferran Torres came up the all-important goal to win his nation the World Cup.
For the second time, fantastic moments for Spain, for Yamal, for Nico Williams. The other side of the coin, of course, there has to be a loser, and today he's some record with this team.
He's unbelievable what he's done with this team. And you think back though, winning the Euros in 20, that's nice to see the two managers come together, because they know what they've put in over the course of the years they've been in charge of their respective nations. And then to win the Euros in 2024 and then come and win the World Cup in 2026, all credit to them. They've been the best team, regardless of what the Argentina players are trying to do afterwards. We should be part of football. You should be looking at the deserved winners, and that's certainly Spain. And Ferran Torres took a bit of stick for his game against Cape Verde, and he's a bit part player as a substitute, but that's a moment that will live with him forever and ever.
And you imagine what it's like on the streets of Madrid, of Barcelona, Seville, all over Spain. They're champions of the world for the very second time, a very special time for them. Wonderful moments for that young team. They stuttered at the start, but they've grown, they've improved. Marino, fantastic for them. Argentina, well, they had their world title for 4 years, but Spain have taken it from them.
Yeah, you just wonder with Argentina. When all the big games they've had recently, you know, coming back against Cape Verde, then Egypt, then the games against Switzerland and England, just had taken effect on them mentally and physically for this final.
Yeah, well, there you go. Rodri showing a little bit of emotion now. He'll be getting his hands on the World Cup very shortly. But Spain and Javier Bardem, he looks like he can go out and play. They're champions of the world.
And Torres strike, winning the World Cup for Spain. They do so for the second time in their history. Disappointment for Lionel Messi and Argentina, but it has to be said that Spain deserving of the victory in the end. They created more chances. Argentina, from the stats we have to hand, not a single attempt on target. So victory for Spain, and Shay, over the 90 minutes at normal time and the additional time, very much deserving. And these were unsightly scenes at the end of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, you hate to see that. I mean, we all talk about Argentina being street fighters and streetwise, but I think no one likes to see this after the game. You know, Spain have deservedly won the World Cup. As you mentioned, no shots on target from Argentina. And Spain knocked on the door. So it's a brilliant finish, by the way, from Torres. You know, the knockdown from Williams was a fantastic finish from him, because there's a few bodies and the goalkeeper just has to hit the ball high into the net. It's a brilliant finish. I mean, they deserved it. They really did. They controlled most of the game. I thought Argentina were extremely poor. They really were. Really disappointing. In fact, you know, we've seen how good they were against England, especially in the second half. But it seemed like no change of gear at all came from Argentina tonight. They were dead on their feet for whatever reason. I spoke highly of this guy, and I don't feel any different about him after the game. I just think he's a great player, but didn't really get a chance to get into the game at all. And you mentioned Enzo Fernandez. It's a moment of real madness. It is, you know, when your team's up against it. Hard enough playing Spain with 11 players to go down to 10 men in such a crucial moment as well. I think he's cost his nation, you know, a chance of winning it, but albeit I think the team that won it deserved it.
Yeah, Richie, in our pre-match conversation, it was fairly firmly established that the two teams that were in the final deserved to get there. It was just a pity on the day that they didn't produce a better spectacle.
Oh, it's a spectacle. It was awful. Like, I'm sad the tournament's over. I'm kind of relieved this game is finished. No question about who deserved to win. I was neutral to begin with. I'm pleased Spain won. Argentina played with no ambition, no belief in themselves as footballers, no attempt to break down Spain to score. We talked about the obvious quality and genius and brilliance that Messi brings to the team. They had no answers at all about how to support him to show that side of him. Today it was kind of as one-sided a game, a final as I've seen in a long, long time. In saying that, Spain would infuriate you. Like, so many times we've seen, go back to the first game that they played against the Cape Verde, they had loads of the ball, just couldn't score. Passed it, looked great, composed in control, and can't score. And that very same kind of frailty or flaw nearly undid them today, but I am really, really pleased they won. They are by far, I wouldn't say the better footballing team, they were the only footballing team in that football match.
Okay, well, we'll have further reaction and analysis to come, but it's time now for a quick break. There's more to come on the other side, including the trophy presentation, so we'll see you after the break.
Fans have more
teams than ever before.
Now boarding the train of thought.
More opinions, more noise. It's time to bet with your head. With early payout as standard, sub-swap to keep your bet alive when your player goes off, and price boosts right throughout the tournament. Back yourself this summer. Boyle Sports.
As the Irish Independent, we don't just report the news. We tell the stories written all over Ireland. After all, each struggle, triumph, high and low, leaves a mark that lasts. We live and breathe the stories written all over Ireland. Irish Independent.
It's happening again.
It's time we let it pour.
This is now Mexico City.
You don't have to love it, but you do have to pay it. It's the law. Get yours now at tvlicense.ie or any post office.
The new Hot Honey McCrispy from McDonald's with melted cheese, bacon. We're all over the place here. The sauce.
Strangers at kickoff. Friends by full time. Fans have more friends.
celebration for Spain as they become world champions. Argentina's disruptive approach worked against England, but I'm afraid didn't produce the goods for them against the Spanish. And as you can see, joy unconfined those Spanish supporters as they win the World Cup for the second time in their history. And the stats, well, don't tell us anything that we didn't know from witnessing that match over the last 120 minutes plus. Spain certainly with the advantage in the most significant areas, attempts on goal, and most importantly, the goal. Didi, I was just thinking prior to that break that Argentina had a coach in Scaloni who led them to the World Cup the last time, but he seemed devoid of ideas in the final in terms of trying to break down that Spanish side.
I think the team was just not capable of competing today. We said it before, they are 4 or 5 years older than Spain, had some tough games, had to go extra time twice in the knockout stages, and you said before, does it make a big difference? I think the game makes a huge difference, because it's another 5 or 6 days, the travel included, obviously the mental side of it as well, and I think it just found him out. And obviously again against England, the last half hour they had to invest an awful lot to get back in the game and get these 2 late goals. And the same against Egypt, we were 2-0 down with 11 minutes to go. So they've been out of the tournament twice already. So I think they did ever so well to get to the final. And Messi, I think, didn't have an awful lot left. I think he was out on his feet after the last 2 games, and it was probably as one-sided a game as we've seen, and credit to Spain, because the 2 most one-sided games in the knockout stages was probably the semi-final against France and the final today, and they were running out of time, because we said it before extra time, they've got half an hour, because I probably would have made Argentina favourites if we were to go to penalties, so they had half an hour to get a goal. They did threaten, got a good goal, and I think it was absolutely deserved, because Argentina didn't show anything whatsoever going forward, but I think they were out on their feet. I just think, and as a manager, he saw the game, what happened in the first 20 minutes. He probably knew the best chance we got to win this game is going to penalties. Obviously, you had another 100 minutes to go to not concede, didn't do it, and deservedly lost.
It's not the first time they've looked limited. I did the Egypt game, and with 5 minutes to go, this is a deserved win. They're 2-0 down, should be 3-0 down with a dubious decision. And you're talking about managerial changes. I don't recall managerial changes being the reason that they had strong finishes in the games, or good second halves, or got back. It was Messi. It was moments of individual brilliance that has nothing to do with the manager or the coach or tactics. It was create a scenario to let him do what is indescribable to the rest of us, and he does it repeatedly. So there's only a certain amount of time you can kind of go to the well and summon the emotion and the energy and the intensity and recover from seemingly lost cause. But for them to do it again would have been remarkable. But it's not the first time they've looked limited as a football.
Not the first time that the issue of player exhaustion, you mentioned going to the well so many times, from a physical point of view as well as a mental point of view. We see on Champions League, because we have a greater number of games now for the top elite players, clubs. The Premier League in particular seems to be very trying on the players, and now we have an extended World Cup, and maybe it is beginning to take its toll.
And last summer we had the Club World Cup as well.
Yeah.
A lot of emotional sort of stress and strain went into that game as well. I think it was the 85th minute or 86th minute. They were 1-0 down. You know what I mean? It was a late sort of comeback, and obviously the history of that tie, England and Argentina, there was huge history behind that tie as well. So I feel that as the lads said, they were just trying to get the penalties. They really were. It was poor, really. I don't really know how else you can set up against Spain, because we know how good Spain can be. And again, as Didi rightly says, they were cruising really with the semi and the final today. It was just a question, and we said at half time and extra time, can they have that one bit of quality? Because the opportunity was there, and that one bit of quality came, and Torres came up with a brilliant finish, and again, we're neutral sitting on the sofa. They deserve to win the final, and it's just a sad way. You see Messi sitting on the pitch, it's a sad way to go out. There's never a fairy tale ending, is there? People say maybe he should have out 4 years ago when he obviously got his hands on this trophy, but not to be this time.
And there's huge distances between the venues. And we've got a 40, and we said, oh, Cape Verde and Congo, and they gave us so many great moments. But the downside is, this is the biggest game every 4 years, the biggest game in international football. Now, was this an advert for football tonight? I don't think it was. Now, in America, the game is growing, they want to make it bigger. The whole world is watching. If somebody's never seen a football match, which probably happens, because it's a World Cup final, we've got to watch it because 2 billion people all over the world watch it. If you watch it tonight, you go, not too sure about that. Maybe I watch the Super Bowl or watch something else, because, we've got to promote the game. We've got to make it even bigger. But the downside is that there's always a chance this is going to happen, because you see 2 tier teams, and as Shay rightly says, you have the Club World Cup. You used to have every 2 years you had a competition or a tournament. Now you've got the Club World Cup, you've got the Nations League, so there's no off years anymore. So every year you've got a tournament for the big nations, and we want to see the big players in peak competition at the World Cup.
Is it an argument for no extra time, for example, when it comes to
They've never been after as well with hydration breaks. I don't know how many subs teams are allowed to use now. I don't know how big the squads are in comparison to World Cups gone by. They've never been looked after as well. The pitches has never been as good. The preparation, the food, the diet, everything has never been as good in that sense. I think Argentina, for them to play against a Spanish team who were so good in possession, to struggle basically with 10 men without the ball, which they were for long periods because Messi was not able to close down anymore, and then to play against 9 men without the ball, it was an impossible task for them. They went about the only way they knew how, cause havoc, try annoy, try frustrate, and they still created a chance with 10 men in the last minute of the game when Simone had a fabulous opportunity to score.
You wish the Spanish goal came sooner. They were always the one more likely to score, but we weren't going to see anything from Argentina as an attacking team until they went a goal down. And when Spain did score, you think, well, we're going to see something. Maybe we'll see some moment of genius, we'll see some kind of attacking threat, but up until that we saw nothing. And I understand the conversation around more games, but I think that team went out there today to go, keep a clean sheet, get the penalties. There was no evidence whatsoever that team, at any point in that 90 minutes or the extra time, said, let's try and score until they conceded.
But that's in a huge contrast to the final 4 years ago, isn't it?
Fine, every game is a standalone game. The approach of this team today might have been understandable if they thought, well, we can't try and outpass Spain because we'll lose. You can't maybe push too many players forward because Spain will open us up. But they offered nothing. We can't put any kind of a package together saying, here's what Argentina created, until a little bit scurry at the end when they were desperate.
But you would argue, Kevin, that it possibly would have gone to penalties had the sending off not happened.
Yeah.
Let's look at the goal, seeing as you're the most recently retired striker on the couch. Let's look at the goal that decided it.
It seems a while ago now. It was
the goalkeeper, Martinez, and thinking, because the cross was quite a deep sort of cross to William. I think he was in 2 minds to come or not, and he didn't. Sort of thought about coming, and then he changed his mind. And if you do a slight sort of within your head, if you pause for a second, you're out of the game. You know what I mean? I think in hindsight, he looks back. If he actually commits to coming for that cross, he can get a touch on a flick it past Williams, maybe for a corner or something. He decides not to, but taking nothing away from Torres, it's a fantastic finish on his foot as well, because Martinez, the goalkeeper's flying back, there's defenders on the line. If he hits that low, I think they get a block on it, so you can see the finish. He lifts it high into the roof of the net. It's a brilliant finish.
Yeah, and very much deserved, did he? We can look back at some of the chances now that's being created, particularly in the second half and indeed in the first half of extra time.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, in the second half, they had so many balls they played across the pitch, which got cut out by Spain. It was just inside away as a ball. And then every minute you felt, well, the goal is coming here. Bucharest just half a yard short. But they weren't playing the opposition, they were playing against time, because they knew we've got to score one in 90 minutes. If we can't, then we've got to try to get one in the half hour in extra time. This is a shot by Olmo before. This is a good header, gets a good leap on Ferran Torres. They can't get enough power in it, but they did threaten. But as we said at half-time, they just didn't show enough conviction to really finish a game in 90 minutes.
Yeah, they had their opportunities. I mean, Martinez them. There's a
really good save off a Jamal free kick. They're at a stage where it feels like going forward there, that's Williams with a header, another brilliant save from Martinez. They're just trying to hold out, and of course they couldn't do it in the end.